One amazing scheme that we have at Kent is our Employability Point Scheme, or you may see online more as the EP scheme. And to tell us more, Hannah Jones, our EP coordinator. What actually is the EP scheme?
Okay, so as you say, it's the Employability Point Scheme. It's unique to the University of Kent and sponsored by the Kent Invicta Chamber of Commerce, which we're incredibly grateful for. Essentially, we provide engaged, passionate, highly motivated students to local or national companies in order for them to undertake a variety of experiences within the company.
Great. And how does it work for the companies then? So how do they kind of engage with this process?
So we have a pool of students that engage with the scheme, and we can speak to the companies individually, find out what sort of student they would like, what maybe they have a specific project they'd like to work on, or they'd like to take on a longer term intern. So it's a very flexible scheme, which is the beauty of it. We can tailor it to the company's specific requirements.
How are we talking a few students? Are we talking certain academic disciplines? I mean, how big is the scheme been this year, for example?
It's across the board, Marcus. We have students from every academic school on campus, which is fantastic. We have just over 9,000 students this year, which was our target. So we're thrilled to have achieved that. And those students, then we work with around 160 companies. So we have a large competition pool for them to look at.
And obviously we can't talk about the scheme without talking about COVID-19. So I can imagine that's had a little bit of an impact. How many opportunities were advertised to our students this year, as an example?
So advertised, there was a large amount. I'm not sure of the specific numbers, but I do know that 700 applications were received out of the ones that were advertised. Compared to last year, there was just over 800. So even though it has been challenging with COVID, we're still, pleased with the response that we've had from the students.
Sure. And I know that obviously some companies, especially those companies that were furloughing, clearly couldn't take on the students through the physical placements and so on. But I understand that many of them either delayed those experiences slightly, which is understandable, but great that they're still there. But also that many of them looked at virtual experiences. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, it has been quite amazing, actually. The companies have adapted their rewards really, really well. We've had some great conversations, and many of them have been able to still offer some really valuable experiences remotely, virtually, online. So still able to carry out their promises to our students and provide something really valuable.
Great. And earlier on, you were talking about 14 students in particular that actually managed to convince a few of the interviewers a bit more.
That's true, yes. We had a set interview schedule with a set number of rewards for each company. But yes, as you say, 14 of them obviously pulled out the stops, and the companies were so impressed with them that they offered them some extra. They wanted to take on more than they'd originally agreed to.
So an extra 14 on top of what was advertised?
On top of what they'd already, advertised.
Well done. So where are we now in the process then? So obviously it's at the moment of filming this, it's early June. So where are we now then with these placements?
So right now all the interviews have taken place. Some of our students have already started their internships or their work placements, either remotely or on site. And some of them are just waiting. As you say, some companies have postponed a little bit. So we're just waiting to get some final sort of clarity on their start dates. And also we're organising some funding contracts as well. We have a lot of support from Santander universities and the ERA project, which make a lot of our rewards possible for our companies. So that's all in the process of being finalised at the moment too.
Okay, tell us a bit more about that. So is that funding available for companies, or what is that?
That's correct. Yes, it just provides some extra financial support for companies, which acts as a kind of an extra motivation or encouragement for them to take on interns. The ERA or Santander provide a large, substantial chunk of the funding. So the company then has a bit more possibility to take on, like some of our companies have been able to take on 6 interns instead of maybe just 2 or 3.
Okay, great. And that's funding for internships.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, great. So give us a couple of headliners. I don't know, putting them on the spot, but a couple of really good case study examples that are kind of, I suppose, slightly different from the normal, where students have really been able to benefit and the company have really seen benefit by taking on these interns.
Yes, so good question, Marcus. We do get a lot of great feedback, stories and case studies from our students. Probably the one that sticks out most for me is a videography student, Dan Bird, who undertook various experiences with the historic dockyard in Chatham, Landmark in London. And quite by chance, he had an opportunity to meet with the head of marketing from Beats by Dr. Dre. Him and his friend ultimately then were invited to go to their marketing office in LA and undertake some promotional video opportunities with them. So that was really fantastic. But also we do get a lot of students from schools that go into sort of different companies or different to their studies, and we find that it works quite well, that sort of the crossover between the skills that they take. So essentially, yes, any story is a good story, and a lot of our students do go on into graduate employment with the companies. So
absolutely. I guess because what they've got then is academia behind them, but they've also got that real world work experience, that actual physical experience that they can then build on when they're interviewing for their dream job or their for their career. Great. Okay. Yeah. So how do companies, conscious that it's now June, how do companies now get involved in the scheme? I guess we're now talking about summer 21.
Exactly, yes. So it will be for next year, which I know it might seem it's a bit early to get involved or to be thinking about it. But from our point of view, this is the very best time to get involved. So essentially, any company that thinks they may be interested can email us and get in touch. We can have a conversation. Basically, the earlier we can get a company signed up and get an idea of their reward opportunities, the more time we have to then promote that to our students. We can really give them some good visibility across our social media platforms and get the students excited about some opportunities.
Okay, so I guess you want to hear from companies between now and September so that they've got the entire, or you've got the entire kind of term 1 and term 2 to promote to the students.
Promote them. Yes, absolutely. And also at that time, the start of the academic year is when we do a lot of face-to-face promotion with the students also. And so the more companies that we know about, the more we can promote them ourselves, which is really exciting to be able to, have that face-to-face conversation with students.
Great. Hannah, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Marcus.